The air was thick with the scent of decay, a pungent reminder of what lay beneath the surface. In the small town of Eldridge Hollow, the ground had begun to whisper secrets, and the townsfolk were too busy with their mundane lives to listen. But Clara, a curious girl of 12, had always felt a pull toward the old cemetery at the edge of town, where the gravestones leaned like weary sentinels against the encroaching forest. It was there, among the crumbling stones, that she first heard the voice. "Help me," it had said, soft and pleading, like the rustle of leaves in a forgotten breeze. Clara had looked around, her heart racing, but found only shadows and silence. The voice had come again, more insistent this time, and she felt an inexplicable urge to follow it. As days turned into weeks, Clara returned to the cemetery, drawn by the promise of the unseen. Each visit, she would sit cross-legged on the damp earth, listening intently. The voice grew clearer, revealing fragments of a story long buried. It spoke of betrayal, of a life cut short, and of a restless spirit yearning for justice. Clara's imagination ignited, and she began to piece together the tale of a woman named Eliza, who had lived in Eldridge Hollow over a century ago. Eliza had been a healer, revered by some and feared by others. The townsfolk whispered of her strange powers, claiming she could commune with the dead. But when a child fell ill and died under her care, the tide turned. Accusations flew, and in a frenzy of fear, the townspeople condemned her as a witch. They dragged her to the very cemetery where Clara now sat, binding her to a tree and leaving her to the elements, her cries for mercy swallowed by the night. Clara felt a chill run down her spine as she absorbed the weight of Eliza's story. The voice had become a part of her, intertwining with her thoughts, urging her to seek the truth. But the more Clara learned, the more she realized that the town had buried more than just Eliza's body. They had buried their guilt, their fear, and their complicity in her death. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the cemetery, Clara made a decision. She would confront the town, unearth the truth, and give Eliza the justice she had been denied. With a heart full of determination, she gathered her friends, a small band of misfits who shared her curiosity and courage. Together, they would delve into the town's history, unearthing old records and speaking to the elders who still remembered the whispers of that fateful night. As they pieced together the fragments of Eliza's life, Clara felt the weight of the past pressing down on her. The more they uncovered, the more the townsfolk began to notice their inquiries. Whispers turned to warnings, and warnings turned to threats. "Leave it be," they said, their eyes dark with fear. Some things are better left buried. But Clara was undeterred. She felt Eliza's presence with her, guiding her, urging her to press on. The children discovered a hidden journal, its pages yellowed and fragile, filled with Eliza's thoughts and fears. It spoke of her love for the town, her desire to help, and the betrayal that had led to her demise. Clara read the words aloud to her friends, her voice trembling with emotion. I am not a monster," she recited, "but a woman who sought to heal." The journal became their rallying cry, a testament to Eliza's humanity. They decided to hold a gathering in the town square, inviting everyone to hear Eliza's story. Clara stood at the front, her heart pounding as she faced the crowd. The townsfolk, once dismissive, now looked on with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. As she spoke, Clara felt the air grow heavy, as if the very ground beneath them was listening. She recounted Eliza's life, her love for the town, and the injustice that had silenced her. The crowd shifted uneasily, and Clara could see the flicker of recognition in their eyes. They had buried their guilt along with Eliza, and now it was rising to the surface. But just as Clara felt the tide turning, a voice rang out from the back of the crowd. "You're a fool, girl. You don't know what you're meddling with." It was Old Man Hargrove, the town's unofficial historian, his face twisted with anger. "Eliza was a witch. She brought death upon us." The crowd murmured, uncertainty rippling through them. Clara's heart raced, but she pressed on, her voice steady. "No, she was a healer, a woman who wanted to help. We can't let fear dictate our past any longer." As she spoke, the wind picked up, swirling around them, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and sorrowful. Clara felt a chill run down her spine, and for a moment, she thought she saw a figure standing among the gravestones, watching, waiting. The tension in the air was palpable, and Clara could feel the weight of Eliza's spirit pressing down on her. "We owe it to her," she implored, "to remember her as she was, not as the monster we made her out to be." In that moment, something shifted. The townsfolk began to murmur among themselves, their fear giving way to a dawning realization. They had allowed their fear to dictate their actions for too long. Clara's words had struck a chord, and the truth began to seep into their hearts. But just as hope flickered in the air, Old Man Hargrove stepped forward, his face twisted in rage. "You think you can change the past? You think you can bring her back?" His voice was a low growl, and Clara felt a shiver of dread. "Maybe not," she replied, her voice trembling. "But we can honor her memory. We can make amends." The crowd fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Clara felt the presence of Eliza beside her, a gentle warmth that filled her with courage. Then, without warning, the ground beneath them trembled. A low rumble echoed through the cemetery, and the townsfolk gasped, stepping back in fear. Clara's heart raced as she looked around, the earth shifting and cracking, revealing a dark void beneath. "Clara!" her friends shouted, but she stood frozen, entranced by the sight. From the darkness, a figure emerged, ethereal and glowing, a woman with sorrowful eyes and a gentle smile. It was Eliza, her spirit finally free from the chains of the past. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice a soft breeze that caressed Clara's cheek. "You have given me a voice." The townsfolk watched in awe, their fear melting away as they witnessed the truth of Eliza's spirit. The darkness receded, and the ground settled, leaving behind a sense of peace that had long been absent from Eldridge Hollow. As Eliza's spirit faded into the twilight, Clara felt a profound sense of relief wash over her. The town had finally acknowledged its past, and in doing so, had begun to heal. But as the crowd dispersed, Clara lingered, staring at the now quiet cemetery. She could still hear the echoes of Eliza's voice, a haunting reminder of the power of truth. "Help me," it had said, and now Clara understood. Sometimes the past doesn't just fade away, it lingers, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. And as she turned to leave, a single thought settled in her mind. Some stories are never truly buried.